injury in the history of the league when you look at the impact it had, not just on the Celtics, but what these other teams in the East have done. The Orlando Magic go trade for Desmond Bane. I don't think they do that if Jason Tatum is healthy and the Celtics are looking like an elite team. And now you've seen the Celtics start to take this team apart. Look, Jaylen Brown won Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP last year. I don't know if he's a number one option on a championship team because there's only a handful of guys in the league that can do that. But the reason he and Jason Tatum are such a great fit together is because they complement each other, and the two of them together make up, whether it's a 1A and 1B, those two guys together are as good as you can get on the wing. They've been the core of a team that's been as good as anybody in the league over the last several years. And the Celtics believe they go through this gap year, they add some pieces to sort of set up the next great Celtics team going forward. But if you're starting with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, everybody in the league is looking for wing players that can play both ways. The Celtics have two of those guys on their team, two of the best small forwards in the league. So I don't know if he's a number one option or not, but the Celtics are very happy to have both of them, and I think they still have a chance to be a championship team in the future with it.
No, I hear you, and I get you with the gap year, and I just have a hard time within the NBA, especially in the East with all these injuries. Keith, where are you on this? Can Jaylen Brown be a number one?
Yeah, I think he can be a number one. Obviously having JT, he doesn't have to be that, but he showed it last year in the finals when basically he just took over the finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. He's a guy that he plays both ways, so he can be he's a great defender and a great number one. He can continue to grow his game by knowing this year that the bulk of the load of scoring will be on him. So I guess he get to really show offensively if he could be a number one, and he's already an elite defender defensively, so that just added to his game.
McMahon?
According to Jason Kidd, he's already been the number one option on a championship team. You remember midway through the finals when Jay Kidd tried to throw that little stink bomb in the Celtics locker room, declaring that Brown was the guy on that team. Didn't quite work. But look, man, basically when you're saying, can you be the number one guy on a championship team, you're saying, can you be an MVP candidate? Are you one of the 5 or so best players in the NBA? I don't think he's at that level, but if you want to say 1A, option 2, whatever, Jaylen Brown can be part of a championship duo, has been part of a championship duo, but I don't think he's one of the top 5 players in the league, no.
All right, guys, let's get to the Knicks because this is a little bit of a disaster right now. So the Eastern Conference is going to look different next year after several big stars obviously suffered a
duo, but I don't think he's one of the top 5 players in the league, no.
All right, guys, let's get to the Knicks because this is a little bit of a disaster right now. So the Eastern Conference is going to look different next year after several big stars obviously suffered Achilles, which is an issue in itself in the league that Adam Silver did discuss, including Tyrese Halliburton at the worst time, Game 7, Jason Tatum, and, of course, Damian Lillard. So with all these injuries in the conference, are the Knicks or Cavs under more pressure to make the finals next season? You want to take it?
I'll take it. And to me, it's obvious. It's the Knicks. Yes, the Cavaliers won 64 games. Yes, the Cavaliers lost in the second round of the playoffs. But no disrespect to our guy, Brian Windhorst. They also play in Cleveland, right? They have a young team. They just hired a new coach, Kenny Atkinson. They are moving forward. The New York Knicks play here in Manhattan, as you know, Molly.
Yeah.
They have fired their coach after making their first conference finals in 25 years. There's a guy who sits here a lot. He certainly has a lot of faith in the Knicks going forward. And this is a veteran team that traded for Karl-Anthony Towns, that traded for Mikal Bridges to believe they can take steps forward. They have the season they had last year. They lose the way they did to the Pacers, where they blow Game 1 of that series at home on the crazy Tyrese Halliburton shot. They lose that series. They fire their coach, which to me, when you fire a coach in the conference after making the conference finals, there's only one thing that's acceptable, which is making the NBA finals and or winning a championship. And as you just said before, no Tyrese Halliburton, no Damian Lillard, no Jason Tatum next year. The Eastern Conference is totally wide open. The Knicks have not won a title in 50 years. They are a team that's not made the NBA Finals since 1999. This is their opportunity right now. If they go get a couple pieces to add around their guys this summer, if they do eventually hire a coach, which I suspect they'll eventually hire a coach.
Process of elimination.
They have to eventually get somebody. This is the Knicks' year. They have to take advantage of this opportunity. They're probably never going to have a better chance than they do right now with this group to win next season. And if they don't, you have to really start to wonder if they're going to be able to, because the East is completely wide open for them.
McMahon, do you agree it's teed up for the Knicks?
I see what Bon Tibbs is saying, and certainly there's a different sort of pressure when you're in New York, as Rick Carlisle once said, the cesspool that is New York media, speaking so eloquently about our Big Apple brethren. But come on, the 64-win Cavaliers are pretenders right now. They have to be labeled as pretenders when you are eliminated in the second round with the ease that they were. So there's definitely some pressure that comes along with that. You know, they've got this core four that, and credit to them, they raised the expectations in Cleveland by rolling to those 64 wins this regular season. But there is pressure that comes along with that, especially when the playoffs were such a disappointment for Cleveland.
Keith, more pressure to make the finals, Knicks or Cavs?
I would piggyback what all Tim said. I'm definitely saying the Knicks, right, because of the success they had this year. You bring back those core guys. You were one game home going to the finals. You bring back that core team, and you're looking at, you know, to repeat the same success that you have, right? Obviously, it's based off of what coach you bring. And I'm not really on the side of like what's taking so long. I'm just on the side of why so many coaches. Why are you? It's supposed to be a collective, about 3-4, especially when you already knew you were going to fire Tibbs. It's supposed to be about 3 coaches, and you choose from those. The disappointing part is that you're interviewed 10 to 12 coaches. Like, that's not going to get it done, right? You have to bring in the right guy to be able to lead this team because you have the core guys that you need. You don't really have to go out and do much. Maybe get some bench players that's actually going to play this year, and after that, you put yourself in prime position.
Maybe I'm naive.
I was going to say, you look like you're in pain listening to
Yeah,
talk.
no, and obviously we're here in New York. I just find it hard to believe that the Knicks would get rid of a guy like Tibbs and not have any plan at all whatsoever, but that's what it appears to be. When they reached out for a few different guys, got denied, Ime Udoka being one of them, obviously, and a bunch of them got extensions after
Jason
the fact.
Kidd, Billy Donovan.
Did them a lot of favors in that sense. Have you ever seen a coaching search more mishandled?
I don't know if I'd quite go that far yet because we have to see where it lands. To Marky's point, look, if the Knicks hire a coach in September and they go on to make the finals, then they handle it right? So some of this is the results over the process. But to your point, the Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau coming off of the best season they've had in 25 years, coming off the best 3-year stretch they've had in 25 years, a guy who is perfectly in sync with Jaylen Brunson, their star player. Jaylen Brunson, their star player, who was asked after Game 6 of the conference finals when they lost, do you think Tom Thibodeau is the right coach of the team? And he was incredulous that the question was even being asked, right? Then 2 days later, Tom Thibodeau is fired. And to your point, if you're at this point and you're the Knicks and you fire your coach, you would think you would know what you want to do in terms of replacing him. And here we are, several weeks later, the Knicks still don't have a coach. We're not sure exactly when they're going to have a coach. And to your point, it seemed like they wanted to get one of these guys that was available. Maybe they thought they could get one of them and they couldn't. And now we're kind of sitting here waiting to see what the next shoe to drop is going to be. So yeah, like, I don't think you should feel especially great about the process so far. Now, if the result works out later, it's one thing. But yeah, the Knicks, when you fire Tom Thibodeau with the success he had, you say, all right, we know what we want to do. We're going to go get it. Right now, it doesn't seem like they know what they want.
McMahon, I can't believe I'm asking this, and maybe it's a New York bias, but is the New York's head coaching job still a desirable one?
Well, you know what coaches really want? They want talent and they want money, and not necessarily